The dining room glowed with candlelight, the good china laid out in perfect rows, the way it always was at Diane's house. Christmas at my mother-in-law's was a production. Linen napkins folded into swans. A centerpiece flown in from some florist in the city. My daughter Lily, 7 years old, sat beside me in her red velvet dress, clutching a small wrapped box on her lap. She'd made it herself. Weeks of work. A hand-painted jewelry box from her after-school art class, sanded and lacquered and lined with felt she'd cut herself. She'd been so proud of it she'd barely slept the night before, asking me over and over if Grandma Diane would like it. I told her Grandma would love it. I believed it when I said it. Dinner wound down. The adults sipped wine. My husband's cousins compared ski trips. And then it was time for gifts. Diane sat in her wingback chair like a queen receiving tribute, opening box after box. A cashmere scarf, a bottle of something French, a gift card in a leather holder. Lily walked up, box in both hands, and set it gently in her grandmother's lap. "I made this for you, Grandma." Diane peeled back the paper slowly, opened the lid, glanced inside for less than a second, and set it down on the side table without a word. She picked up her wine glass instead. "Well," she said, loud enough for the whole table to hear, "that one's not really worth unwrapping again, is it? Cute effort though." The table went quiet. Lily's smile didn't move at first. It just sort of froze, the way a smile does when a child hasn't caught up to what she's feeling yet. Then her chin dropped, and she looked at the floor. I felt my husband, Daniel, go rigid beside me. His mother's cousin Barbara let out an awkward little laugh, the kind people do when they don't know if something was a joke. It wasn't a joke. Diane didn't do jokes like that. She did corrections. She'd been doing them to me for 6 years, the wedding dress that washed me out, the career she called a hobby with a paycheck, the way she introduced me to her friends as Daniel's wife instead of by my name. I'd absorbed all of it, quietly, for Daniel's sake, for the sake of peace. But watching my daughter's small hands drop to her lap, watching her blink hard and fast the way kids do when they're trying not to cry in front of people, something in me went very calm, not angry, calm the way still water gets right before it turns to ice. "Lily," I said gently, "go get your coat, sweetheart." "Are we leaving?" she whispered. "Yes, baby, we're leaving." Diane scoffed. "Oh, don't be dramatic. It was a joke." I stood up, smoothed my dress, and looked at her. Really looked at her. The way you look at someone when you've finally stopped editing yourself for their comfort. "It wasn't a joke," I said. "And we're not staying somewhere my daughter isn't welcome." Daniel stood too, jaw tight, and for once, for the first time in 6 years, he didn't ask me to sit back down. He didn't ask me to let it go. He picked up Lily's coat himself. Diane's face flickered, surprise maybe, that no one was performing the usual dance of smoothing things over. "You're overreacting," she called after us. "It's Christmas." I didn't answer. I helped Lily into her coat, took her hand, and we walked out into the cold. Comment below, where are you watching this from? And be honest, has something like this ever happened to you? A gift dismissed, a kid made to feel small at the one time of year that's supposed to be about warmth? If yes, hit like and subscribe, because trust me, it gets so much better from here. In the car, Lily was quiet, staring out the window at the Christmas lights blurring past. I glanced at her in the rearview mirror. "Grandma didn't like my box," she said finally, so quietly I almost missed it. "Grandma didn't deserve your box," I told her. "There's a difference, sweetheart. What you made was beautiful. That's not up for debate." She didn't answer, just held her hands in her lap, the way she'd held them at the table. I gripped the wheel a little tighter and made a decision I'd been circling for years without letting myself land on it. Daniel reached over and took my hand once we hit the highway. "I'm sorry," he said. "I should have said something years ago. I let her do this to you for so long, I stopped noticing when she was doing it to Lily too." "You noticed tonight," I said. "That's what matters." But I wasn't finished, not really. Here's what Diane didn't know, what almost no one in that family knew, because I'd never seen a reason to mention it. 4 years ago, when Daniel's father passed, he'd left behind a modest life insurance policy, some savings, and the deed to the small lake house upstate that Diane loved more than almost anything in the world. The one she spent every July at. The one she'd hosted 40 years of extended family reunions in. The one she called the heart of this family. What Diane didn't fully understand, because she'd never bothered to read the fine print, never bothered to ask, the way she never bothered to ask about anything that wasn't about her, was that the lake house wasn't in her name. It never had been. Daniel's father had put it in a trust years earlier, structured so that on his death, ownership would pass not to Diane, but to his son, Daniel, with Diane retaining only a lifetime right to use it. Contingent, per the trust language his father had insisted on her conducting herself with basic decency toward the family. Daniel's father had seen exactly who Diane was. He just never lived long enough to do anything permanent about it, except leave that one clause, a quiet insurance policy against his own wife's cruelty. Daniel had managed the trust paperwork every year since his father died, filing the taxes, paying the property costs, all while letting his mother believe the house was simply hers, because he hadn't wanted to hurt her. He'd protected her from a truth that might have humbled her. Tonight, in the car, I finally asked him the question I'd never asked before. Daniel, what does basic decency toward the family actually mean, legally? Who decides that? He was quiet for a long moment. The trustee, he said, which is me. The next morning, Christmas morning, my phone rang before Lily had even opened her stocking. It was Diane. I trust you've calmed down, she said, without so much as a hello. I'd like everyone back here for brunch at 11. And Daniel needs to bring the... Diane, I said, cutting her off, calm as still water. We won't be coming to brunch. A pause. Excuse me? I said we won't be coming, and I think you and Daniel need to have a conversation about the lake house. He'll call you this afternoon. What on earth does the lake house have to do with anything? Everything actually, I said. You'll understand soon. I hung up before she could respond, something I had never once done to Diane in 6 years of marriage. At noon, Daniel called his mother. I sat beside him on the couch, Lily upstairs playing with her new art set, oblivious to the storm rolling quietly through the family above her head. I watched Daniel's face as he explained, calmly and without cruelty, what the trust actually said. That the lake house had never been hers, that his father had put a condition on her continued use of it, that her behavior last night, toward a 7-year-old, at Christmas, over a handmade gift, was exactly the kind of conduct his father had been trying to protect the family from when he wrote that clause. I could hear Diane's voice rising through the phone, tinny and disbelieving. He wouldn't do that. He loved that house. He loved me. He loved you, Daniel said quietly. That's exactly why he was worried about what happens to the people you love, when he wasn't around to soften you anymore. You're doing this because of a jewelry box, Diane said, her voice cracking with something between rage and disbelief. I'm doing this, Daniel said, because you looked at my daughter's face after she poured her heart into something for you. And you told her it wasn't worth unwrapping. And that wasn't the first time you've done something like that. It's just the first time I let myself see it clearly. Silence on the line. Long enough that I thought the call had dropped. What do you want? Diane finally said. Quiet now. All the performance drained out of her voice. I want you to apologize to Lily, Daniel said. Not to me. Not to my wife. To her. And I want you to mean it. And going forward, I want you to understand that this family isn't something you get to perform generosity for in front of an audience, and then take back the second no one important enough is watching. Kindness isn't a stage prop, Mom. And if I don't apologize? Then you keep the memories of that house, Daniel said. Because that's all you'll have. The trust gives me full discretion over renewal of your use rights, annually, starting this January. I'd hate for the first review to already have a strike on it. Diane didn't call back that day, or the next. But 3 days later, a small package arrived at our door. Inside was Lily's jewelry box, the one Diane had set aside without a glance, along with a card, handwritten, no assistant script this time. Lily, I was wrong to say what I said about your gift. It was thoughtless and it was cruel, and you didn't deserve it, especially not on Christmas. This box is one of the most beautiful things anyone has ever given me. And I'm sorry it took me being this foolish to say so. I hope you'll let me tell you that in person one day, when you're ready. Love, Grandma Diane. Lily read it twice, slowly, her lips moving over the harder words. Then she looked up at me. Do you think she means it? I don't know yet, I said honestly. But I think this is the first time she's tried. Can I keep the box on my dresser instead of giving it back? I smiled. Absolutely, it was always yours to give, not hers to dismiss. We didn't go to Diane's for New Year's. We stayed home, just the three of us, ordered too much food, and let Lily stay up late watching the ball drop, her jewelry box sitting proudly on the mantel where she could see it from the couch. Daniel caught my eye once during the night and just shook his head, half smiling, like he still couldn't quite believe 6 years of swallowed silence had ended with a 7-year-old's paint-splattered jewelry box. Diane called a week later, her voice smaller than I'd ever heard it. She asked if she could take Lily out for hot chocolate sometime, just the two of them, if I was comfortable with it. I told her we'd think about it, slowly, on our terms this time, not hers. Because that was the real gift at Christmas, not the box Lily made, though it was beautiful. It was watching my daughter learn, at 7 years old, that her worth wasn't something anyone else got to grade on a scale, dismiss with a glance, or set aside on a side table like it didn't matter. Some gifts you can't wrap, you just have to live them, one quiet, steady decision at a time. The decision to stand up, to walk out into the cold, and to never, ever let someone make your child feel small again.